Hey guys, it's Angel. Welcome back to the channel, and today we have an interesting one to fly and test. It's a second tiny jet. Now this one is by Mario Noriega Designs, and I apologize if I mispronounced that name, but this is the Caproni-Vizzola Ventura, and in one of the reviews on SimMarket it was referred to as the Fiat Abarth of the skies. It's a 1960s light jet made in Italy, originally designed as a military trainer, and it was a converted sailplane, so it has a lot of lift. And it's part of the family to the Caproni Kaif glider, I believe. And now they shortened the wings, put tip tanks on, added two small turbojets. And it was originally also potentially looking at being a reconnaissance aircraft as well, and forward air control. It's tiny and it looks very cool. Now this thing has a crew of two. It's 6.19 meters long with a wingspan of 10 meters. It's only 1.8 meters tall. And it has two micro-turbo TRS-18 turbojets, producing 1 kilonewton of thrust each. Now this thing is on SimMarket, and I was sent a copy of this by Mario Noriega to review, so heads up about that beforehand. And he told me that he wanted people to have a look at this because he's done some major updates to this. Of course, the original was a version of the P3D one. This one has had massive changes. Now, it's fully compatible with the new features of SimUpdate 6. They've added 4K textures, including bumps and PBR materials, so physics-based rendering materials, 3D detailing improvements, elevator trim is more responsive than the original, and sound systems have been changed completely, and a load of other fixes to the aircraft as well. So it compares quite well to the Bead BD5J and the other tiny jet I reviewed previously. So it comes with a number of liveries here. And let's take a look at the aircraft. So, outside, let's take a look at these textures. Well, I can tell you that's very, very neat and tidy. That's quite, yep, the resolution on that is pretty darn good. Intakes look decent. Now, we are a retractable gear aircraft. And it is very tiny, so I'd give it some credit for being small. Not a ton of room for detail on the real one, but let's see what's in here. Ah, including the tanks. Interesting. So our air intakes for the engines are, I believe, I think it is there on the back. That is the intake. And they spit out there. So the engines are in this area of the aircraft. So they modified the fuselage more than they did anything else. The wings, of course, wouldn't really support having hard points, so they couldn't mount them on there. Let's take a look inside, as my battery systems are on here, which is going to be throwing the aircraft off. Now I'm going to have to try and start this, but one thing I want to test first is... That's not the right button. That's the right button. There's the spoilers. Okay, so that is working. That's a good start. Right, let's try turning this thing on. So, systems coming online. Never touched this aircraft before today, and you are very reclined in these seats, I must say. There's a little bit of flatness in some items, I will say, but I'm not going to be looking at the back of it too much. But I do like how buckety these seats are. This does feel like an old Fiat, I gotta say. I'm assuming it'll want me to turn the radio on. Yep. Okay, so these are... I like the sounds from clicking the dials, actually. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, where's my fuel? That's our throttle. There's emergency throttle. That'll be gear, I'm assuming. Flaps. We have instrument lighting. There's a speed brake down there. Cabin heat. And windscreen defrost. Okay. So we have fuse panel back here. This does feel so delightfully vintage. So many aircraft look so polished and new. And it's often a rarity. Ooh, even the twang as you pull in the parking brake. That's actually rather nice. You don't tend to hear good enough sounds with those sort of things. Okay, those are... Wait. I need to turn on the turn and bank indicator? Interesting. Okay, let's work out how to start this bad boy, shall we? So these are our flaps here. Engine start. Boost pumps. These are motoring, dry motoring. I'm going to screw this up, so let's just press start. Where's my engine run up? Look for my NG. Okay. Give it fuel. Start that one as well. Probably doing this horribly backwards. Now, according to Mario, the POH that comes with this is fully usable to go by. Engines do seem to be lighting as expected as I introduce the fuel. Okay. I think we have engine start. Okay. We do. Right, let's knock off the pumps there. And I'm pretty sure we have good engine start. Let's give that throttle a try. Oh yeah, that worked. Okay. Nice. Now, can I open the hatch? Yes, I can. Important feature. I love how clamshell this is. This is very tiny. Look at that. This reminds me of the Cessna Dragonfly almost, but a little smaller. And a Fiat. I kind of like this. Okay, let's put the hatch back down. And we will... Where's the hatch? There we go. This is probably the closest to actually sounding like an aircraft I've actually experienced. So in terms of a sound environment, this is actually quite nice. Now, the one thing I will criticize here is that I can definitely say I think there could have been more polys in the cockpit surround. So this whole area here, this is slam bang in my face. I would have liked to see more polys in there. So... Okay, that's attitude indicator. Let's get the aircraft rolling, shall we? These little jets take a bit of time to spool, so I'm probably going to absolutely ruin this attempt. Are we going to move? You're not that heavy. Okay, so we are back. There was a bug with Flight Sim. I restarted the flight, restarted the engines exactly the same way, and it moved. Sometimes this sim world we have is a little bit weird, so not going to chalk that one up to the developer. Now, of course, camera views give us the usual shenanigans there. And I believe we also have the usual suite of various... I love the look of that headrest. It's very leather. Okay. So let's get ourselves taxied out the runway here at Orcas Island and take this baby for a spin. Now again, I find the bar in my face a little bit distracting. There we go. But we'll work with it. Okay, I'm going to kill some markers here on the threshold. A little bit unused to being this low down and working with a jet. So, I'm not always the best jet person. That's probably why I didn't review this the first time around, is I'm not typically a jet person, and I will make a fool of myself doing so, as you can see now. But when Mario reached out to me, honestly, I thought this thing was actually kind of neat. And it's clearly a project he has a lot of love for. The updates he's done to this aircraft since its release are huge. And the price on SimMarket is on sale right now for €8, and it's normally 10. So, that is ridiculously cheap. Well worth going out and buying. It's the cheapest of these small jets, really. Let's give it a blast, shall we? Need to make sure this is turned on again. Keep ourselves relatively centered on the runway as speed picks up to 60 knots. Coming through 80. Back pressure on the stick. And up we go. It's a very rich sound environment in this aircraft, I think. And that's one thing I've definitely noticed. You feel like you're actually sitting in the aeroplane. Unlike a lot of aircraft, the sounds, I think, are so vibrant here. Like, I genuinely feel like I'm inside this cockpit. I can hear every little sound and creak and mechanical noise. Almost feels like I can feel my breath inside a mask or something. Wow, this is actually kind of nice. How's handling? Let's take a look outside for a start. This thing is like a tadpole in flight. Look at it. It's a little itty bitty tadpole. Also, this is so dim. Why are we flying in dimness? No. There we go. Much nicer. Let's go to clear skies. Oh, look at that. Beautiful blue skies. I love the tiny jet exhaust as well. That's a neat little detail. Cockpit looks quite dirty from the outside. The aircraft is so nimble though. Let's see what we can do with this thing. Probably not meant for this, but you know what? I'm going to go for it. It has a ton of lift, I was warned, so landing we're going to require those speed brakes to slow down. What speed can we crank this thing up to? Well, we're coming through 200 knots. Approaching 250. This thing's moving very rapidly. Got a lot of nose down trim there to counteract the speed as we're approaching 250. Which for a straight wing is about expected. Look at this thing move. I like it. Alright, throttling back here. I'm going to deploy the speed brakes here to kind of pull us down here. Probably a bit too early. Ooh, back of the speed brake texture does not look fantastic out of the window. But it's the back of a speed brake who's really looking at that. That slowed us down significantly. Okay, speed brake's super effective. Gears going down. We'll descend here. Now, of course, we're picking up a lot of speed because this thing is incredibly aerodynamic. So let's just put out partial brakes here. Just a little bit there, just to give us the edge off the speed. And we'll pull them in before we do a turn and line up with the runway. Yeah, I can't keep getting over it, but the sound environment to me is the best part of this aircraft. Yes, it feels like I'm in a Fiat Abarth, as one reviewer on the SimMarket said. But I genuinely feel like I'm in a little Fiat 500 Abarth. Not the new one, the old one. And I'm racing down some Italian coast road through little tunnels and through beautiful scenery. It's like a 1960s Ferrari. It's fast, it's nimble, and it's got this beautiful design elegance that Italian aircraft of the period had that really makes them so delightful to enjoy. So gear confirmed down, flaps are down 1 notch. We'll give it 2, and we're going to pull our speed brakes out a little bit more. I need to get an axis for my speed brakes, that will help things dramatically. Lined up on the runway there. I'm going to reach for my keyboard to do that. Okay, that slowed us down a bit, but I'm going to butcher this landing. So I'm going to warn you ahead of time, I will trash this. Now this has a lot of lift, so I'm not really expecting to need to have more throttle before this approach, but we'll have to see. The engines have quite a long spool-up time. I have noticed that much. So it definitely will be asking a bit of me. Now we're still speeding up here. This thing does not want to slow down. Let's give it speed brakes right until the last moment, I think. It's a bit like the GB, the R3. That thing needed speed brakes for days to land. Also don't land that thing with the nitrous on. This has no nitrous, but we're coming through 18 knots right now. I'm probably going to pull the speed brakes in short final. But I don't feel the need to actually retract them yet. We've still got quite a lot of speed and lift. I'll get a boost as soon as I pull them in, which I'm not going to do here. Speed brakes are still deployed. I'm coming in quite quickly as well. Above recommended speeds. There we go, we're down. Flaps in. Speed brakes are staying out, and we have a nice controlled touchdown. I'm off the centre line, I don't really care, but there we go. And we are down. We've got a taxiway turn off up here ahead, which should put us in. So that was my first time landing this. It was not hard. It was very fast, but I had really good control all the way down to the ground, because whilst a lot of jets tend to get really nose heavy when they lose thrust, they're very dependent on that thrust to stay aloft. I think the glider origins of this design means it has so much body lift that the aircraft will, as long as you have the speed, it's not going to drop off and lose speed that quickly. And most jets are not that, or they're aerodynamic to punch through it, but they don't create a lot of lift. So you'll tend to find attitude changes and the nose will drop in a lot of jets on short final if you don't have the right power. this just stayed level the whole way. Like, I had the speed brakes out the entire time to keep this thing behaving, and it was really placid. And for something that can do 250 plus knots, that is really impressive. In fact, it's the nicest jet I've flown ever in terms of its handling. It just did not feel like a chore. I think it's the combination of sailplane and jet that is doing that, but in terms of instrumentation and function, it's simple. Easy, simple avionics here. It's not going to be a massive cross-country monster. Of course, you do have nav, and you have, of course, the functionality there for VOR navigation. There is no GPS, but you don't exactly need one. And for what is essentially €10, so you're looking at maybe $15 maximum for you Americans. This is almost as much of a I should pick this up aeroplane as the flying redneck mobile inflatable dinghy with a parasol on it. Even if you just fly it a couple of times for fun, this thing is a blast. And from what I saw of the pictures of the original variant that Mario brought across to MSFS 2020, let's turn those off here. There we go. That's why it was extra loud, because I had those on. Okay, go away, Sim. I want to talk about the plane and look at the plane. This thing is fun. It is simple, it's easy. The work is done with PBR texturing, PBR materials and the 4K textures. It shows. It's crisp, it's clean. The lines look nice and tidy. In fact, that's one of the first things I noticed about the aircraft when I saw the pictures. The exterior glass there, that's way too heavy. That I would say. But you don't see it from the inside. It looks much better. Yeah, other than a couple of little texture things that I would personally change. In terms of this being a fun little plane to fly, fun and easy to get into, easy to handle, it's a tiny little rocket ship that just makes you want to listen to opera as you coast through the skies over the Adriatic Sea. I would definitely say this is worth picking up. And I actually feel bad that I might not have tried this if Mario hadn't reached out to me. So, thank you, Mario, for reaching out to me. This is actually a blast. I really like this little thing. Time to go find Rigoletto. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.